Are you thinking about making a move over to Katy, Texas? Well, before you do, I think it's important that everyone knows about the negatives just as they do the positives. So that's why today I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why you might not want to move to Katy, Texas. And we're getting into it right now. What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex Watkins. I'm a real estate agent in Texas and I service Houston and surrounding areas. If this is your first time to this channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you can get notified when I do make a new video if you want to learn everything there is about living in Houston, Texas. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into the video, guys. The first reason why you might not want to move over to Katy, Texas is simply going to be because there's a lot of new construction going on in the area. So Katy has already been established. So right now what they're doing is they are building out more and more areas. They're building more neighborhoods, more subdivisions. So there's lots of new construction going on. Now, a reason why this is a con, a reason why you might not want to move there, is because that if there's a lot of construction in the area, it makes it very inconvenient for you to get to one place to another. So for example, if you're going to and from work every single day, having lots of construction in the area, it's going to take you a lot longer to get home, and it's going to be a lot harder for you to get home because there's going to be so many different four-way stops. There's going to be lots of lines of only one lane, one way or the other. There's not going to be a lot of back roads that you can take to get out of the traffic once you get in there. So having a lot of construction in the area is something that can bother you, if you have a long drive throughout the day and you're just ready to go home. Another thing that I'm talking about with new construction in the area is also if you move into a new community where they're building homes, you have to deal with things like nails going into your tires. Trust me, I've had that happen 3 or 4 times in the past year. It's pretty annoying. You also have to deal with lots and lots of people being in the neighborhood, trying to check out the new homes, leaving, going, coming, and then also all the big heavy trucks and machinery that's going to be associated with those new homes being in the area. So having all that new construction is definitely, in my opinion, going to be a con about moving over to Katy, Texas, because you have to worry about all of these things. And sometimes it might be a year before all of those things get alleviated. And that's actually going to bring me to my next point. So the second reason why you might not want to move to Katy is because they are building further and further and further out from the city. So because Katy is already a developed area, they're building more master plan communities, more subdivisions, so that people can get newer houses. Because let's face it, most people want to buy a brand new house versus a house that's already been lived in before. So in order to do that, they have to build further and further out west. So you're going to be moving much more away from the city. So in turn, that's going to make your drive, your commute, a lot longer than normal. So normally, in order, for example, for you to get from downtown Houston all the way over to Katy, it's going to take you about 40-45 minutes. Well, now since they're building more and more sections out towards the west, it's going to take you about an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes. With the traffic, it's going to take you a lot longer to get over there. So being further and further away from the city is definitely going to be a drawback for you if you're looking for a fast commute to work. Now, again, if you don't mind living in a community that's already been established, then it's not going to be such a big deal for you. But if you are planning to move over to Katy, Texas, and you want a new community, you want a brand new house built from the ground up, never lived in before, then it's going to come at a cost, and that is going to be location. Okay, now on to number 3. The third reason why you might not want to move to Katy, Texas is simply going to be because of the traffic. Now, I've talked about this before in a couple of other videos, and the traffic, it is what it is. Traffic anywhere is going to be bad. It doesn't matter where you live, traffic is traffic. No one wants to be stuck in a car. No one wants to be bumper to bumper. No one wants to be in red lights or behind accidents or all those many different things. However, I feel like the traffic here is worse than other places. So I know that traffic here, just because you're 15 minutes away, does not mean that you will be home or at your destination in 15 minutes. So if I call my wife and I tell her, hey, babe, I'm headed home from work, I'm about 20 minutes out, she knows that means I can be home in 30 minutes, I can be home in 40 minutes, I could even be home at an hour. It does take that long because of traffic. I do feel like sometimes the drivers here are not necessarily always paying attention. Sometimes there will be a green light and somebody's still lagging because they're either on their phone or just not paying attention. So traffic can get kind of worrisome here. Also, Katy is very congested, so that also is going to lead to more traffic. Now, you can take 2 major highways to get around. You can take I-10 or you can take Grand Parkway 99. But at the same time, when it's rush hour, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. So I would always say my best advice is if you're going to move over to Katy, Texas, and you are worried about the traffic, you could just stay wherever you're at just a little bit longer to wait until the traffic dies down. And I would say anywhere after about 6:30, then you should be good to go. Early in the morning time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock is going to be a train wreck because everybody's headed to work and school. So if you can avoid those times, then maybe traffic won't be so bad for you. But I always feel like it's important for me to add, because people want to know how long it's going to take for them to get to work, how long it's going to take for them to get home. And even on the weekends when they're trying to plan out, going on events with their families or doing other things, they want to know what exactly it's going to be like on the roads. I actually had some friends that just moved over here, and they're from Los Angeles. And they were telling me, they're like, dude, it takes so long to get everywhere here. And not even because of the traffic, just in general, it takes forever to get anywhere. But when it's traffic, man, you might as well just kick your feet back and relax if you're in the passenger seat, because you ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Reason number 4. So property taxes here in Texas are actually 7th highest in all of the nation. And again, here in Katy, there's over 200 different subdivisions, so it's impossible for me to tell you every single tax rate in each subdivision, but they all are going to be different depending on which neighborhood and which subdivision you're in. So what I mean by that is that there are different places that have different tax rates for different neighborhoods, different master plan communities, and so on and so forth. So the lowest that I've seen is going to be 2.2 in certain neighborhoods, and then in other neighborhoods, the highest that I've seen is 3.6. Now, a lot of those prices also have to do with, where you're trying to move. Are you trying to move into an established community? Are you trying to move into a new community? All those things are going to determine what those prices look like, because in the newer communities, obviously the houses are going to cost much more because they're brand new. You're always going to get more bang for your buck if you go to an existing house, a resale, versus if you go to a new construction home, because they're always going to charge more per square footage. Also, the home prices are going to be higher for smaller houses in the new communities than they are for the older communities. And that's going to lead me to my next reason why you might not want to move to Katy, Texas. And that's going to be because it is so popular. Everybody is moving there, so the competition is high. So that means that it might be crowded in the schools, it might be crowded in the grocery stores, it might be crowded in the new communities. Everybody's wanting to move over to Katy, Texas. In fact, most of the people that I talk to about wanting to move down to Texas, their top location is always Katy. I'll probably say about 95% of the time it's in Katy. So just know that if you were thinking about moving down there, it is going to be a situation to where there's a lot of people moving down there. But again, they are building more and more communities, so it's going to get a little bit better over time. So if you want to make the absolute best decision possible about whether or not you should move over to Katy, Texas, then you should watch this video next, where I talk about the pros and the cons of living in Katy, Texas. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I appreciate you staying all the way to the end. You guys are the real MVPs, and I will see y'all next week.